Jeff Surber, Operations Section Chief with the Great Basin Team 1 with the update for today. Starting in the I-70 corridor at No Name, no change from yesterday other than the fact that the No Name community in there has been repopulated. The folks are back in there because of the comfort level we have with that area as far as the fire goes. Moving up into No Name and Grizzly, you can see up on what we're calling the head wall, there's a large cliff area between No Name and Grizzly. It climbed up on top of that yesterday afternoon, caught some southerly wind and started to push north towards the silver, what we call the silver and the brown cabin. And we'll be taking some action up in there today. We did put 4 loads of retardant near the silver cabin, which is the most southerly one, yesterday afternoon, just to freshen up the retardant that was put in there by helicopters about, probably 5 or 6 days ago. So we did that. We were also working with the helicopter down here in the bottom of No Name, trying to just slow this fire down. There's a good chance it'll eventually cross No Name because we don't have people in the bottom. We can throw water at it quite a bit, but you know, in the afternoon when the sun's been shining on that side of the hill, and a little bit of wind picks up, we may end up with a spot and fire that comes across. If it does, you can see there's a dozer line right here up on top. There's also a change in fuel type between the canyon and the top. There's an old fire in here, there's aspen. So if it does run up onto the top near Windy Point, we feel that we could catch it on this dozer line that we took a lot of time and effort constructing out on the flat to keep it from moving back towards Glenwood Springs. So that's kind of the idea. I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion that's going to come across No Name, but if it does, we're prepared for it. The Grizzly portion yesterday was less active. It did, like I say, run up the hill and got established on top, and it will push to the north as time goes by. There are spots up there. We moved that helicopter that was working in the bottom here up to drop water on the spots that were produced from the fire as it ran up onto the top of the rim, and we'll be working with aircraft more in here today. Moving on out of Grizzly onto the flats up around Horse Creek and all the way back over to Coffee Pot Spike. You can see again today that a lot of that is shown as open line. We do have dozer line all the way along this edge back over to Coffee Pot, and by the end of the shift today, a lot of this will be shown contained. Moving from Coffee Pot Spike back down to the I-70 and all the way over to the Bear Ranch, that's all considered contained line. No, we haven't seen any smoke really coming off that lately, and we're feeling real comfortable with this east side of the fire. Up in our Division X-ray in the Spruce Creek drainage, I've talked about burning this pocket out here for several days. We have dozer line at the bottom. We have contained line, but pretty much at the top. And what we need to do is just tie this dozer line back to the main fire so that we can eventually show this contained. I wouldn't expect that would be shown contained for a few days after this burnout operation that we planned for today. That operation will consist of some hand firing along the dozer line, but also using the helicopter, or actually not the helicopter, but we're going to try to use a UAS, a drone, that shoots the same type of ignition source that the helicopter uses, only they're smaller balls. The balls I described yesterday look like very small ping pong balls, but they ignite. And what they allow us to do is strip burn, start up high and reduce the intensity of the fire and just throw strips of fire backing down towards the dozer line where the final fire is put on the ground by the crews that are on the dozer line. So that will probably occur this morning as long as we have the proper conditions, sometime around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, somewhere in there. The sun hits this earlier in the morning, so that burnout can be initiated at an earlier time of the day than a lot of the other ones that we do. And we would hope to get this tied up, like I say, and it may not, that would bring the fire perimeter out here, changed to the map for tomorrow if we're successful in here getting this burned out and holding it, and then over time that would go from red to black, the new line. Moving on, you can see the contain line over on what we call Division Zulu up on top. They've covered a lot of this on foot. Feel comfortable turning it black. They add a little bit of black down here by their spike camp at Green Lake, and I would expect that we will see more black in here at the end of shift today. There's a little bit of a hesitancy to turn some of this edge black, showing containment because of the nature of a lot of boots on the ground required to cover a lot of that ground, and they're just being very conservative about turning that line and actually saying that is contained. But over on Alpha, this dozer line is completed. When I flew yesterday, there was no indication of any smoke on that line. I'm feeling very confident that we won't have to deal with that contingency line that we've described that drops into Glenwood Springs. We also have the initial attack structure protection group. Some of them walked up into Hanging Lake yesterday and documented what work has to be done on that trail before it can be open to the public. There's some large snags up in there with what we call cat faces, burned out areas at the bottom that weaken the tree. So we'll have to knock some trees down in that area. There's still debris on the trail, and I don't know how long it'll take to make that safe for the public, but for the time being that trail remains closed, and we'll be in there trying to clean it up so that it can eventually be open to the public. We did fly the lake again yesterday, and it looks good from the air anyway. There's burned out areas above the lake that may cause silt to flow into the lake at some point in the future this winter, but the lake itself and the improvements around the lake and the CCC cabin are all structurally sound. And no, we continue to check the Red Canyon fire from a few days ago. It's not showing any smoke. It's looking real good over there, and we're ready for initial attack. There's a lightning activity level of 6 today, which is a fairly high. Well, it's as high as it goes. So we'll be watching for new initial attack and taking action on those as appropriate. Thank you.